If you're currently using valid and invalid states with your HTML forms, there's a better option that you actually have here, because you can see both of these are showing up as valid because, well, they are valid. There's nothing that needs to be in these, and one way I can make sure they're not valid is by coming on both of them and making them required. And as soon as it becomes required, because it's empty, it is now invalid, and getting the invalid styling on there, which isn't really much better. Let's come on this one and we can make this one required as well. And then now both of them are invalid, which is not what we want. We only want these to be invalid if the user has actually interacted with them first, right? So what we can do for that is the relatively new user invalid and user valid right here. And you can see that the styling isn't being applied yet. The styling will only happen, not even if a user clicks in and clicks out, but if a user clicks in and does something in here. So if I come and put some keyboard inputs and then I leave, now it will show. And you'll actually notice now it's actually showing that it's invalid even though I have something in there. And that is because on this input type for my password, I have a minimum length of 8, so it needs at least 8 characters there. And you can even do patterns using regex here as well to check for validity. You don't want to use CSS as your only form of validation, but it can be a nice first line of defense before you get to your server-side validation once a user submits your form. But if we come here and we get past 8, you can see that it is now valid right there, and now the user knows their password is good. You'll also notice I'm using colors and I'm changing the styling a little bit just because colors only aren't the best. And ideally you'd have some text feedback here as well for users. But again, this is a nice way to at least start things off and give some sort of validation to users. That's much better than the valid and invalid that were our only options until we got the invalid that we now have, which are much, much better.